Hello folks and well met. This is Founder Leroon and I am here with Fantasy Grounds College and I'm going to put out a video that will hopefully help you with targeting. So this is not a full-on combat tutorial, but it does involve combat. So if you're going to be using NPCs as a game master or perhaps a player character, it's important that you understand how targeting works. So I'm going to go over just mainly the targeting aspect of this. Right now, I have the 5th edition rule set. I have the latest version of Fantasy Grounds Unity. I have some characters already built, and I have a map here. This is put out by Chris of Game Tile Warehouse, and it has some effects and line of sight on it. But we're going to get into this by first learning how to target things and what it means and how to actually execute it. So all of my participants are on the combat tracker first, and then once they're on there, then the game master will drag them onto the actual map. So if you don't have that to begin with, the targeting won't work very well. And matter of fact, it won't work at all. You also have to have this grid so that targeting knows how far things are away. I don't think it works very well without it. So here I have this combatant, potentially. This is Namita. The party has just walked into a chamber, and they notice that something's there, some kind of enemy of some sort. So as the game master, I'm going to hit Control P, and that kind of gives you the preview of all the different things that you would see as a game master. So the first one up in this group is Namita. She's on the bottom left corner. She's highlighted now. And by taking off the preview, this is basically what she sees. So she's going to have to sneak around, and she can only move half her movement rate. So I'm going to go ahead and let her do that. So if she comes up to her turn and she's going to move, and she has her crossbow out, she's only going to move like I said, like 15 feet. So I'm holding down the right control key as the game master, and that doesn't work to move anymore. You have to hold down the Alt key. Once you do that, once you hold down the Alt key, now you're going to get your movement. So that's as far as she can move. So I'm going to hit Control P to make sure that she hasn't gone through a wall. See, she's just right on the behind that pillar. But technically, she can't really see anything. So this is where the lighting comes in handy. Unless she had dark vision or a special pair of glasses or something, or a spell, she can't really see a whole lot. However, being that she moved, now she has sights on this Drow warrior. So she went ahead and moved silently. I'm going to have her target the Drow. But first things first, I'm going to go to her Actions tab, which is where I'm at now, and there's her crossbow. And in order to facilitate this, I'm just going to have her hold down the right control key and click on the Drow. And that's your line of sight right there. So, beside the actual, that's her visibility right there. So she can see from the dark into this area here. This is a reasonable amount of distance between here and there, so she can see, but she's going to be at a -2 because it's pretty dark. So I'm going to put a -2 modifier on her attack roll because of the darkness. And she's got to basically shoot at this angle. And to do the targeting, you hold down the right control key and you click on your target, and you have to make sure that you're actually in possession of your token. Otherwise, you'll end up targeting yourself. So all you have to do is hold down the right control key and click on which target you want to click on. But first, we want to look at the line of sight. Can she actually see these Drow here? And she can see that one. So I'm going to hit Control P for a preview. So she's not really shooting over anything. It's kind of like a grate or really small step up. So it's not really going to affect her that much. So that's going to be her shot. So it's really dim and hard to see. So she's going to have the -2. In the combat tracker on the top left, it says target's drow. Now, if I want to remove the target, let's say I've changed my mind, I'm going to repeat the process. Hold down the right control key, click on the drow, it gets rid of the targeting. Now, you can accidentally target yourself. I've done that. Everyone does it. You want to look at that before you do anything and then just repeat the process to clear it. So the other way that she could do this is if she says, well, I can see drow number 2, I think, the DM would look at the preview and says, yeah, you could see the drow, but it's kind of far away and it's dark. So what she could do is also go to the combat tracker, click on the little target icon, and in here are 2 little targeting symbols. You can clear your targets or you can target a new target. So she's going to do that. She can either do it in the combat tracker itself, which gives her the ability to target. And if I click on her targeting area, you can see the drow is here. And now you can clear it by clicking on this little clear button. And then the other thing you can do is you can actually drag this onto the drow. And it would do the same thing. So there's a few different ways you can handle targeting. One, you just manually target yourself, or you can target from within the combat tracker, or you can also target from the combat tracker to the battle map. It's all the same thing. The thing you got to remember is to undo it when you're done. So if you change targets, or like this target dies and you go to another target, make sure you untarget whatever it was, including yourself, and then retarget your next assailant or your next victim. So the advantage of targeting is, one, you're going to avoid dragging the actual attack roll onto the target. The next thing is, if you're going to stay on that target, it's very convenient to just double click on the attack roll and the damage instead of having to to do it manually and drag it and drop it. And so if you have something already targeted in the combat tracker, you can just double click on your attack roll, and then if you hit, you just double click on your damage. You don't have to drag the damage, or you don't have to drag the attack roll if something is targeted. So that works great on individual targets. If you are able to target more than one creature, let's say if you had a spell or something, you can also select multiple targets, but she can't right now because she can't see all of them. So most attacks and most spells are based on what you can see. And I kind of homebrewed this. I made it to where she has a -2 to hit. But since she's snuck up here, I'm going to have her roll stealth. She rolls a 12 or higher. Let's see, passive perception. Yeah, so this NPC has a pretty high wisdom. So she has to at least roll a 13 or higher. And that's on her stealth check. So I just asked her to roll stealth. And she's going to go to her skills and take a look at stealth. She's pretty well versed in it. So I'll have her drag and drop this to the dice tower. And she was still able to probably hit with that. I didn't have anything targeted at the time. But the target number that she had to reach was 13 or higher, and she did so. So she snuck up there without the drow noticing her. She's targeting this drow over here that she can see in her line of sight. She still has the -2 because of her visibility problems. And the fact that, the angle and such. And then the drow are pretty sneaky. So she's up here getting ready to make a sneak attack. So if I go over to her sheet, right now she has this light crossbow. So all I have to do is double click the attack roll with the -2 already involved mathematically. So go ahead and double click the attack roll. There we go. So that was a hit. So I'm going to zoom in, and that helps so you guys can see what's going on a little bit better. So the attack roll hit, and now that I have the sneak attack advantage there, I'm going to go ahead and click on her sneak attack effect. So she has it here. It's 2d6 additionally, and it will just last long enough for her to make the roll. So I put the effect on her, and that adds the extra damage. Now I'm going to double click, and again, I still have this drow targeted, so I don't have to drag any damage or anything. So this drow took heavy damage. You can see the indicator turned red, and Namita was successful at her sneak attack, and she did quite a bit of damage. She did a total of 21 out of 24. So that was a pretty devastating blow. She must have hit the guy right in the forehead. And that includes the penalty that she had for the darkness. Now, Namita's a kind of a sharpshooter assassin type, so she definitely is like that. But that individual is still targeted. So she'll probably leave that on there, but if you need to get rid of it, don't forget to clear. So I'll just go ahead and do that now, so I can either clear it from here, or I can right-click and click on this target again, and it gets rid of the targeting. So she's no longer targeting that individual. So I'm going to scroll through and skip some of this stuff here. So Gallimar is going to move. So I'm just going to move him his movement rate so he can get closer. He's not really going to attack, but he is going to prepare Divine Smite. So if he has to, he'll and he has Divine Health, so he's immune to disease. That's a passive ability. And since he really didn't get to attack or anything, I think I'm going to put Bless on. So first I'm going to put the effect of Bless on him as a concentration spell. And this also takes one of his first level spell slots. And now this particular spell is 30 feet. So if he's unsure of who he can bless other than himself, what I'm going to do is right click on the map, go to pointers, and draw a circle. And I don't care where you draw it, just as long as you can draw it out. So this is his area. So right now, he can only bless himself. And that's what this circle is for. So he's going to go ahead and do that anyways, just for the sake of the tutorial. And when you're done with this area, you can right click, go to pointers, and remove the pointers. So now that he's in range and he's concerned about this fight, he's going to go ahead and cast the Bless. So he has the Bless effect on him, and now that's the concentration part of it. Now I'm going to actually drag and drop the effect on himself. and that gives him his bonuses and such. So that would be his turn, and he already took up one of his first level spell slots. So there's a Drought Mage here that sees the threat of the party and noticed that this other Drow over here had taken quite a blow, so he's a little concerned for his well-being. So the Drought Mage is an NPC. He has a kind of a staff. He can summon a demon. He's got dancing lights and darkness, so he probably will drop a darkness sphere on top of him, or maybe fairy fire. So that's what I'm going to have him do, is do it. This is an innate spell, so it doesn't cost any spell slots, other than only being able to use it once per day. So I'm gonna click on this, and I'm gonna see if Gallimar saves. So the range on this is, let's see, it's 60 feet, so it's a large area. So if I wanted to know where that area is, again, I would right click on the draw arrow. Again, I'm going to single left click and draw this out. Oh, I got to bring it down more. Yep. So anyways, you can draw that out if you want. Oops. And you can get rid of the arrow by clicking on remove pointers, or remove this. So I'm going to right click again, go to pointers, draw the circle. So that's a pretty wide area. So if he casts it like that, he can probably get at least, yeah, he can get Namita and Weirdbeard if he can see them. So let's take a look. So the spell itself, each object in a 20-foot cube within range is outlined in a green, violet, or light color choice. Okay, so he can see, let me see if he can see Namita. So again, I'm holding down the right control key, and no. So the reason I say that is because the pillar is blocking his view. So the only ones he can see right now is the dwarf and the paladin. So I'm going to go ahead and target both of those individuals before I roll. So in order to do that, I'm going to hold down the right control key as the NPC, and you'll look on the sheet down here at the bottom, and it says targets Lord Gallimar, and it says Namita, so we got to unclick hers. And then we're going to click on Dorig. Now what I'm going to do is roll the saving throw. So the saving throw is already built into this. So I'm just going to roll, just double click on it is all I have to do. Okay, Gallimar failed, and so did Dorig. So now I get to drag the effect onto each one of these individuals, and it will give the other bad guys advantage against those individuals. So that was a pretty good use of his innate spell. And then I'm going to have him move back a little bit. He wants to be able to get out if he needs to. So I'm just going to hold down the Alt key. Moved him back like 5 feet right into the threshold of the door. And so I moved him back 5 feet, and that will be his turn. So that's basically how this thing plays out. And if you notice, when I switch between targets, it actually, let's see, let me get rid of this. Get rid of the point. Or in this case, the spell radius. So in this case, you can see that he can see almost the whole room. So that's the difference. Like these drow have dark vision. When I click on this human paladin, it doesn't allow the view to change. So when you're going through combat, when you change views, you'll also change vision depending on the type of vision they have. So that was his turn. So now it's Shayra. So Shayra notices the danger. So she's going to move up maybe 10 feet. Okay, I lied, 15. So this is what she sees. That she's an elf, so that she can see better than the humans. So she can... There we go. So once we've done that, she's moving up to here. And let me get rid of that. So that's her turn of movement. And then on her sheet, she has a fairly powerful spell. She wants to basically knock that guy on his butt, but she's not close enough. So I think what she'll do is she'll cast Magic Missile on the wizard. And let me see what the range is. So 120 feet. So she's got that. But if I want to target him, I'll hold down the right control key with Shayra, her character, and I hold down on it, and it will tell me, okay, this guy's 65 feet. So that's fine. She can see him, and what she's going to do is her Magic Missile. So those automatically hit. So I can just drag this 3 times, or you can, however you want to do it. But I'm going to go ahead and I already have him targeted, I believe. So I'll have him targeted. And then I will apply the damage. So I'm just going to roll 3 times. And the drow made a successful check on his concentration. So he took some damage. I mean, 15 points, that's nothing to shy away about. But she also used one of her first level slots. And she's now kind of vulnerable now because she's out in the center here. So we'll see what happens. Dorag here is none too happy about this drow situation. But he's going to go ahead and cast a... I guess he wants to do a... You do a healing word, or you can do something that's helpful. But I really think that protection from good or something like that, or maybe spiritual weapon. So he's going to cast that. You can have it up to 60 feet away. So I'm going to have him move it. I'm going to target one of the drow and see where he's at on that. So again, I'm going to hold down the control and click. Okay. So there's 50 feet. So he's going to take the spiritual hammer and place it right next to the drow. So go ahead and right click. I'm just going to draw a pointer, but you can use whatever asset you want. So that's where the spiritual hammer is. And as a bonus action, he can actually cast it. He's tick off a 2nd level slot. So he has this guy targeted just for the sake of knowing where he's at. So I'll untarget him. And now I'm going to take and assume that he's got the hammer in the right position, the spiritual hammer. So the first part of it is to see if it actually hits. It missed. So this drow was able to deftly duck out of the way. So basically that's how you target, is you hold down the right control key So if Dorig wanted to target somebody else, I'll hold down the right control key and click on any number of targets. You can do multiple targets, like if you have a fireball or something like that. So to untarget them, I would just undo it. So I hold down the right control key and just click back on the same targets. If you forget what the targets are, you don't remember, you can always come over here to the combat tracker and you can clear. So anybody here that has someone targeted, like the Drought Mage, for instance, if I wanted to clear that, I can go to targets and then I'll just click clear. And that gets rid of whoever he had targeted before. So it's just a matter of getting used to the interface and learning how to use the combat tracker with the map, or just using the combat tracker for like Theater of the Mind. So that should help a little bit with understanding how to use the combat tracker and the targeting. So targeting is not necessary for everything, but it works well with spells that have multiple targets, or if you want to sit back and just target one person the whole time. But there's no need to do it every time. So you don't have to target every time you attack. Very situational, but it does cut down a lot of steps. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Again, this is Fenderley Rune. And the map that I'm using was put out by Game Tile Warehouse. So if you guys know Chris, he does the Meander maps. So if I hit Control P, that's what the map looks like. And this one in particular didn't have line of sight. So before the show, I unlocked this thing and I went to the line of sight and I applied some here, so you get that effect. But nonetheless, that's how you do targeting. And when you want to go back to playing, you go to play mode, and then you can get out of the player vision by just clicking that. And then when you need to see what the players see, you can hit Control P. So you can run it that way too. I chose to do it in the dark just so I could see some of the problems that might come up. I think I rambled enough. I think that's a good, solid chunk of information there. Hopefully that helps you guys out. Again, this is Fenderley Rune with Fantasy Grounds College. I will see you guys around. And don't forget that this weekend is Founders Day weekend coming up. We're going to have Digital Dave. We're going to have Doug from Smiteworks, the owner. And we're also going to have Satine Phoenix and Jameson on Sunday. So come on by, play some games, go to the symposiums.